Welcome back to another Powerful Communication podcast. This is Colin Kelly speaking to you from Comsteria headquarters, where Emma's working away just now editing some training videos that we've been producing. And we've been involved in some crisis communications and internal comms. And we were even training an internal comms team on the use of AI recently, which is quite an interesting area. I want to talk today about, this balance between giving our employees freedom and the right to express themselves and have the personal opinions and a personal life versus the expectations and the values of the business. And my observation is that over the last 10 years, but maybe particularly since we got back after COVID, I think the pendulum swung far too far in one particular direction. And I see not all businesses, but lots of businesses basically bending over backwards and tiptoeing round their employees. And here's the thing. Some of these employees have made themselves ill and have warped their own brains with the garbage that they've been consuming on social media and the way that they've been behaving. They've not been looking after themselves, and some of them have made themselves ill because they've been consuming too much garbage. And they have a warped version of reality, and they're bringing that into work. And there's too many workplaces, and internal comms and HR are bearing the brunt of this, tiptoeing around them and bending over backwards to accommodate them. And it's causing mayhem. I was looking at somebody's social media policy the other day, a client's social media policy. It was a very good one. And it contained phrases such as, of course you can use social media in your personal lives, but you need to do it in a way that upholds our values and that doesn't lead to a situation where it could damage the company's reputation. Now, that's all fairly standard. You see that in lots of social media policies. You see that in lots of disciplinary codes, the handbook that you might get in your first day in work. I mean, we've been doing this even long before social media. And it's basically saying, listen, if you behave in an absolutely outrageous way in the pub or in the street or even in your own home, we can get rid of you, right? And I'm sure you've all seen and heard of lots of examples of that. Drink driving, domestic abuse, a brawl in the pub, a fight at the Christmas party, anything like that. All sorts of situations where the behaviour, yes, you did it in your own time, but we can't employ somebody that does that. So that's pretty tried and tested. And of course, these phrases, in accordance with the company's values, or don't do anything that could damage our reputation, all of that is deliberately broad and in the company's favour. In effect, if you do something in your personal life or say something on social media, on your personal accounts, and if the company want to get rid of you, they kind of can, okay? And when you start working for that place, you sign up to that, you agree that that's how you're going to behave, and then if you don't do that, and they think they've got grounds, and as long as they follow the proper process, and that's the outcome that they get to, then they can get rid of you. And if you don't like that, well, then it's up to you to go and challenge that and go to a tribunal. And of course, some people do, most people don't. Most people recognise, okay, I messed up here, I better go and I'll sort myself out, and then we'll come back and we'll have another job somewhere else. That's what most people do. That's how it tends to work. Of course, there's some companies get that wrong. There's some businesses don't follow the system. They do abuse it. They pick on people, and sometimes they get their comeuppance via the tribunal system. But what we're seeing here is, particularly if you look in England, you're seeing people now protesting outside these so-called migrant hotels. Now, they're not hotels. When they're used for that purpose, they're not hotels. That language is used deliberately by people with a certain agenda, trying to make out that these people are coming here and they're living in the lap of luxury and they're being waited on round the clock. It's nothing like that. The building may have at one point physically been a hotel, but it is not a hotel for this particular use. It's contingency accommodation. It's effectively people's homes for this period. Now, you might not think these people should be here. You might not agree politically with what's going on. But the fact of the matter is, these are people's homes. And so, of course, people have the right to protest. Of course, people have the right to express themselves politically. So if somebody doesn't like the current setup regarding the government's policy on immigration and the processing of asylum applications, if you don't like that, then you can exercise your opinions by the way that you vote. You can write to your MP. You could protest in London outside the Home Office. You could protest as close to 10 Downing Street as you can get. There's lots of different ways that you can express your political opinions that don't involve standing outside somebody's home making a nuisance of yourself. Now, I'm sure there's some people listening to this who don't agree with what I'm saying, but that's what that is. It's not a hotel. It's not the place where the government exercise the policy. That's in London. That's at the Home Office. Don't go making a nuisance of yourself in towns and cities throughout the UK, protesting outside somebody's home, and then baiting the counter-protest, and then filming it, and then putting it on YouTube. I can't think of a business who would consider that kind of behaviour part of their values. So why are we not sacking these people? Drum them out. There's no place for this. You've set the values, and you can't just play around with your values on social media when it's all nice and fluffy and it suits you. You need to put these values into effect and start drumming people out when they don't live up to them. And never mind, bending over backwards and wringing your hands and getting all stressed up about how do we deal with this division in our workforce. You deal with it by following your disciplinary procedure, which will probably end in dismissals. Start doing it. When are you going to grow a pair?